Hi guys, hello again, and welcome to our 6th lesson at SpanishFreeLessonsOnline.com. Now, today we will see some more few basic words, some basic vocabulary, and next class we'll start applying these new words with some verbs that we will conjugate. So, today we will learn the words like yesterday, the day before yesterday, today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the days of the week here. Okay, and we'll see some few examples using these words with very basic sentences. So, let's begin with anteayer. This means the day before yesterday. Ayer. This means yesterday. Hoy. This means today. Mañana. That means tomorrow. Pasado mañana. That is the day after tomorrow. Look at this. Ante would be a short form for antes. Antes means before. So ante also means before. So literally this means before yesterday. Ante ayer. Now, pasado mañana, well, mañana means tomorrow. Pasado means past, okay, literally. So it means past tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Let's see again. Let's start from today, right? Let's start from here. Hoy. Hoy. This means today. Hoy. Okay? The accent would be in the O, the sound of the O. Hoy. So before hoy we have ayer. The accent goes in the letter, in the sound of the letter E or letra E. This is letra E. Ayer. Ayer. You see, here is where we accentuate the word. Ayer. The day before yesterday is anteayer. Again, the accent goes in the E, letra E. Anteayer. Anteayer. Now, tomorrow is mañana. Remember that letter ñ here, the N with the wave on top, is ñ. That's ñ. Mañana. Mañana. So here, the accent goes here, in the middle A. Mañana. Mañana. And here, the day after tomorrow is pasado mañana. The accent goes here for pasado, and the accent goes here for mañana. Okay? Pasado mañana, the day after tomorrow. Let's check out the days of the week. Okay? In Spanish, week is semana. Se-ma-na. 3 syllables. And the accent goes in the second syllable. semana. Okay? Semana. The days of the week literally means los días de la semana. This is a plural, masculine plural for the. Los. Días is the plural for days. Okay? And it's masculine. That's why we use a masculine article. Los. De, of, la, the, semana, week. Here we have another article, la. La is feminine singular article. That's because semana is singular and semana is feminine. We can identify that easily here because semana finishes with a, while dia is more difficult to identify it because dia, the singular, also finishes with a, but is masculine, right? But that's an exception. So, los días de la semana means the days of the week. The days of the week. So, let's start from Monday. Yes? The first day is lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. Now I will underline the vowel where we should put the accent when we speak, okay? Here would be lunes, okay? It's not lunes, it's lunes. It's martes, not martes, no, martes. Accent goes in the A. Miércoles, this one is easy because we have the tilde that always goes, we always know where the accent is because the tilde shows us that the accent is in letter E. However, when do we use tilde and when do we not? That's quite more advanced, and we will wait several more lessons until I show you that. Jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. Yes? So we have lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. Now look at this, how interesting. Originally, the 7 days of the week got their names from the 7 planets from antiquity, right? So for the ancient Romans and the ancient Greeks, there were 7 planets that they recognized, and those were, well, even the sun and the moon, which are not planets, but they were part of what they considered or called the 7 planets. And in order, these were the sun, the moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus. Those were the 7 planets for the ancients. And the 7 days of the week were given the names according to each one of those planets, because each one of the days of the week was dominated by one of those planets, right? So we were speaking about the days of the week and the planets, yes? So, traditionally, the ancients believed that each day of the week was dominated by one different planet, mainly. So, that's why the names of the week, the days of the week, were given names according to the planet that dominated that day. And we can see that clearly from English and Spanish, also from German and other languages as well. But here, kind of some are very clear in Spanish and some are very clear in English. But look how interesting. Monday comes from moon day, right? In Spanish you can also see that. Lunes, luna, luna means moon in Spanish. Tuesday would be for Mars. It's not so clear in English, but in Spanish, yes, Martes. Marte is Mars, Marte. And Tuesday is Martes. For the third planet for the ancients was Mercury. You can see it clearly in Spanish, miércoles, from Mercurio. Mercurio, miércoles. You see the same root. The fourth planet, sorry, we are starting from Monday. Actually, we should have begun from Sunday, because the sun was actually the first. But let's see. Next planet was Jupiter. Jupiter. You can see it in Spanish, jueves, from Júpiter. Júpiter, jueves. The fifth day of the week belongs to Venus. Viernes, from Venus. Venus is Venus in Spanish and corresponds to Viernes or Friday. Saturday is for Saturn, planet Saturn. Here, Saturno, it keeps the root, the beginning at least SA, SA, but it's more clear, more visible in English. For Saturday, Saturn, okay? And for the sun, Sunday was day of the sun. Here is more clear if we see it in the English day of the week. Sunday, right? Domingo has no root for sun, at least that I know. So, well, let's go again. We have lunes, Monday, martes, Tuesday, miércoles, Wednesday, jueves, Thursday, viernes, Friday, sábado, Saturday, domingo, Sunday. Now let's see an example. Let's use the verb to be. When we speak of what day is it today, what day will it be tomorrow, what day was it yesterday, we use the verb to be in the third person of the singular, right? For example, today is Wednesday, right? Is conjugated in the third of the singular. In Spanish it is the same. We say, hoy es miércoles, right? Es means is. It is the verb ser conjugated in the third person of the singular. So, hoy es miércoles. Let's write it down. Hoy es miércoles. Okay? Today is Wednesday. Hoy es miércoles. Ayer fue martes. Yesterday was Tuesday. Ayer fue martes. Ayer fue martes. Martes is Tuesday. Yesterday was Tuesday. You can see verb ser or verb to be. Verb ser in the present for the third person of singular is es. And the same verb, but for the past, for the simple past, is fue. You can see it here. F-U-E. Fue. So, ayer fue martes. Anteayer fue lunes. Fue lunes. Anteayer fue lunes. That means the day before yesterday was Monday. Anteayer fue lunes. Here, anteayer. Now, if anteayer fue lunes, then tomorrow will be Thursday. Mañana será jueves. Let's write it down. Mañana será jueves. Jueves. You see that here, since there is one single R and it's in the middle of the word, it's a smooth R. It's not the R. It is a R. Smooth. It's será. It's not será. It's será. So, será is the same verb to be, right? Verbo ser. But this time it's not in the present like here, nor in the past tense like here. This time is in the future tense, right? So, future tense of verb ser in the third person of the singular is será. Of course, we are speaking of singular, because if it were plural, it would be serán. We'll see that later. Right now, for the singular, this is será. So, mañana será jueves. Mañana será jueves. Tomorrow will be Thursday. Okay? And the day after tomorrow then will be Friday. So, the last example we'll see in today's lesson is for pasado mañana, the day after tomorrow. Let's see. pasado, pasado, mañana, será, viernes, viernes. So, pasado mañana será viernes. Pasado mañana será viernes. Pasado mañana será viernes. This is the day after tomorrow will be viernes. That's Friday, okay? Again, será is future tense of verb to be. Okay? So, let's see this. Hoy es miércoles. Ayer fue martes. Yesterday was Tuesday. Anteayer fue lunes. The day before yesterday was Monday. Mañana será jueves. That is, tomorrow will be Thursday. And pasado mañana será viernes. The day after tomorrow will be Friday. Okay? So this is the end of today's lesson. I hope you got something useful from this. And if you have any suggestions or questions, you can comment them in the blog, or send questions. You can go to contacts and email me a question. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed it, and so I'll see you again in the next lesson. Hi again, everybody. So welcome again to SpanishFreeLessonsOnline.com. This is our 7th lesson, our 7th Spanish lesson, and this time we will learn some very basic phrases in Spanish. Some useful phrases, mainly when you know somebody new. So the typical questions you do, like what's your name, where do you come from, where do you live, and all that. Okay, so let's try to pronounce it the right way. I know that many sounds from Spanish are difficult to pronounce, mainly by English speakers. So we'll practice, and little by little you'll start getting used to putting the tongue in the right way so you can pronounce these sounds. Okay? So for example, the name Juan here, J-U-A-N. Letter J, or J, is not like the English H, the soft sound, smooth. No, it's a rougher sound. So these are the kind of sounds that you need to practice aloud in order to be able to reproduce the Spanish sounds. So when you see a J, you say it's the same sound with the G in G, he, right? Because the G has a sound and the G sound. So J sounds the same as the G with a sound. So this is Juan, not Juan like in English. It's Juan. It's rougher sound. So, okay, let's begin with our first sentence. So, this is to people they just meet, and so the first word will be hello, hi. Hola, ¿cómo te llamas? Hi, hello. What's your name? ¿Cómo would be, actually, ¿cómo literally means how. But for this sentence, it would be translated to what's your name, okay? If you want to translate it literally word by word, this would be hola is hello, ¿cómo is how, te llamas, how is your name would be, okay? Let's see again. Hola, ¿cómo te llamas? Hola, ¿cómo te llamas? Excuse me. I want to underline the vowel where the accent goes in each of these words. So let's use red for this purpose, okay? Let's see. Hola, right? Because the accent is in the O. It's not hola, it's hola. ¿Cómo te llamas? Te llamas. Okay? For monosyllabic words it makes no sense because there's only one option, okay, for the accent. Yo me llamo Juan. ¿Y tú? That means, here we have the translation in English. My name is Juan, and yours, or what's your name, okay? But literally this is y tú and you, okay? So, I put yo, I, between brackets because it's optional. You don't have to say yo when you reply here. Why? That's because this pronoun here, me, already implies the first person, okay? This possessive pronoun, because why do we use me here? Because to call yourself, to call. This is a llamarse, verb llamarse. That means it's a reflexive verb. It's, let's see, in Spanish it would be like I call myself Juan, okay? In Spanish you wouldn't say I call, we don't have in Spanish the verb my name is, well, you have mi nombre es Rodrigo, but you usually use me llamo Rodrigo. That would be I call myself Rodrigo, or Juan, or Carlos. That's what we call a reflexive verb. You use a verb with myself, or he calls himself, or she calls herself, okay? So, these reflexive verbs, like llamarse, here it's conjugated, they need to have this possessive pronoun, okay? So, yo me llamo Carlos. Me already is the pronoun for yo, for I. That's why it's not necessary to use yo. We can say me llamo Carlos, and that is correct. And we can say yo me llamo Carlos. and that is also correct. So, we said that me would be the pronoun for reflexive verbs for the first person, yes? Yo me llamo Carlos. If this sentence were referred for he, él, it would be él se llama Carlos. Okay? But we'll leave this for a future lesson. ¿Dónde vives? Where do you live? ¿Dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives? Oh, I forgot to mark the accent here. Okay? Yo me llamo Carlos. ¿Dónde vives? Vivo en España. Okay? This is I live in Spain. Vivo en España. And again, here, vivo en España, we are omitting the subject, the pronoun yo. And why is that? Because the person I is already implied in the conjugation of the verb. Vivo is present tense for the first person. So, if I say vivo en España, the verb is already telling me it's I, yo. So both ways are correct. Vivo en España or yo. So we can say vivo en España or yo vivo en España. ¿Qué edad tienes? This is how old are you? Literally, this would be what age you have. Right? ¿Qué edad tienes? This is a structure, sentence structure for asking what's your age or how old are you. ¿Qué edad tienes? The answer would be, in this case, tengo 30 años. Tengo 30 años. Okay? 30. So, this would be literally, I have 30 years. That's the literal translation, word by word. Tengo is the present tense conjugation for the first person. That's why, same example as before, we can omit the subject, the pronoun yo, because the conjugation of the verb already is telling me that this is for the first person of the singular. Okay? So it's correct to say tengo 30 años or yo tengo 30 años. ¿Cuál es tu dirección? This means, what's your address? ¿Cuál es tu dirección? Literally, word by word, this means ¿cuál, which, is your address? ¿Cuál es tu dirección? Check out the double C here. Has the same sound as the X. Okay? Dirección. Now, this is what's your address. You can also ask, ¿cuál es tu número de teléfono? What's your phone number? Or, ¿cuál es tu dirección de correo electrónico? Right? It's a very long word. This would literally mean what is your address of mail electronic. Okay? So what's your email address? Of course, I put dirección de between brackets because you can omit it and you can simply ask, ¿cuál es tu correo electrónico? Correo is mail. Correo, okay? Electrónico. This is very easy. This is electronic, okay? Electronic mail. So, ¿cuál es tu correo electrónico? Can also be simplified once again as ¿cuál es tu email? Right? So that's a quite international word today. So you really don't have to use all this long wording. Okay? Here, vivo en España. We said we can say the subject or omit it. Tengo 30 años. Again, we can say yo tengo 30 años or tengo 30 años. Same thing. Yo me llamo Carlos or me llamo Carlos. So, well, that's all for today's lesson. I hope this was useful. And remember, if you want to receive an email notification every time I add a new video to the website, you can subscribe by adding your email address to the subscription field to the right of the page. Okay? So, see you next time. Hi there. Hello again. Well, this is our 8th Spanish lesson at SpanishFreeLessonsOnline.com. Welcome back. In this lesson, we will see how to conjugate some regular verbs. Okay? We will practice with 2 regular verbs, the verbs llamarse and the verb hablar. Okay? Llamarse is to be called, and hablar is to speak. Now, first of all, I want to show you something. In Spanish, we have most verbs fit into what we call the regular verbs. Then we have a smaller group of verbs that are the irregulars. Okay? And the regular verbs fit in 3 different categories. we have the verbs which have an ending in ar, right? A-R, ar. We have another group of verbs that has an ending in er, and a third group of verbs which finish in ir. Okay? So, verbs can be classified according to how they end in verbs that finish with ar, verbs that finish with er, and verbs that finish with ir. So there is a rule of how to conjugate the verbs for each one of these three groups, right? And the regular verbs follow the rule. So if we see how to conjugate regular verbs, then we'll be able to conjugate most of the verbs in Spanish, okay? Now, we also have verbs that can be reflexive as well as transitive, okay? And this is the example with the verb llamarse, okay? You can see the verb itself is llamar, without the se at the end. Llamar. Llamar is to call. Llamar. So, I can call somebody. Voy a llamar a alguien. Okay? Llamar is to call. But, if you use the indirect object pronoun at the end, right, then the verb becomes a reflexive verb. So it would be call myself, right? And that's actually the verb in Spanish that you use for saying that somebody's name is, or my name is, or this is called like this, okay? So, llamar is to call, llamarse is to be called, okay? So, the indirect object pronoun, right, this ending, se, se, that also changes according to which is the subject. So that's what we will see up here in the first example we'll see of how to conjugate, right? Now, I'll repeat. Both verbs that we will see today are regular verbs of the group of the verbs that finish in ar. A-R, ar. Why? We can see here. The ending of the verb is llamar, finishes in A-R. Hablar finishes in A-R. So these two verbs belong to the same group, right? The group of verbs ending in ar. Yes? The difference is that here we use llamar, but we use a reflexive verb, llamarse. Okay? In infinitive, the reflexive verb has the indirect object pronoun at the end. Okay? But when we conjugate it, it goes in between of the person and the conjugated verb. Right? So let's see how it works. Let's review the Spanish pronouns. We have yo, tú, él, or ella. This is for I, you, he, or she. Nosotros, vosotros, or ustedes, depending which, I said before that in Spain they use vosotros, and in Latin America they use ustedes. okay, for you plural. And ellos. Ellos is they. Nosotros is we. We. So, now look at this. Vosotros and ustedes means the same thing. Means you plural. Right? However, depending which one you use, vosotros or ustedes, you can see that the indirect object pronoun changes, and also the conjugation of the verb is different. Llamáis or llaman. So, but look at this. The conjugation for ustedes is easy because it's the same conjugation for ellos, for they. So if you choose to use ustedes for you plural, the conjugation will always be the same as for they, as for ellos. Okay? You can see the same. So I repeat this once again. Vosotros is the way that they speak in Spain. Ustedes is the way that is spoken in Latin America, but both ways are academically correct, and you can just choose to use the one that is easier for you. Okay? Okay. Let's begin with yo me llamo Juan. That literally means my name is Juan. However, if we translate it word by word, this is I myself call Juan. Tú te llamas Juan. You yourself called Juan. Él se llama Juan. He himself called Juan. Right? Or it means he is called Juan. Or if we want to use she, ella se llama Juana. Okay? Because Juana is a female form of the name Juan. Juan would be John in English. So, you can see here I'm using tú with a tilde up here, right? That line you see on top of the U. Sometimes you have seen me write tú without the tilde. Although now I won't teach the rules of the tildes, that we have four it's 4 different rules for tildes. I will just tell you for you not to be surprised. So sometimes I will write tú with a tilde and sometimes tú without a tilde. So when tú is a synonym of you, it goes with a tilde, like here. When tú is a synonym of your, then it's written without a tilde, okay? Just like this. For example, tu auto, your car, you see? Here, tu is a synonym of your, so it has no tilde. Here, tu is synonym of you, so here it has to carry a tilde. Let's erase this. Okay, we just said, yo me llamo Juan. My name is Juan. Tú te llamas Juan. Él se llama Juan. Or ella se llama Juana. Nosotros nos llamamos Juan y Pedro. That is, we are called Juan and Pedro, or we are Juan and Pedro. Yeah? Vosotros os llamáis Juan y Pedro. This is the same as saying ustedes se llaman Juan y Pedro. That's you are Juan and Pedro, or you are called Juan and Pedro. And the last one, ellos se llaman Juan y Pedro. Okay? I have underlined the vowels or the syllables that carry the accent in the words. Okay? So here it's ellos, not ellos. No, ellos. Here it is not llaman, it is llaman. Ellos se llaman. So, this, although this here we are conjugating llamarse, that is a reflexive verb. However, the way we conjugate the verb itself, right, is the typical way we conjugate all the regular verbs that finish in ar, right? So, although this is reflexive, this is the regular way of conjugating for present tense. Verbs ending in ar will always conjugate for the first person in, you see, you take the root of the verb without the ending, right? You just strip out the ending ar and you add the, oops, where's the pen here? Oh, I lost the pen. Here's the pen. Let's use green. We use, you see, we strip off AR and we add O for first person, right? For tú te llamas, right? You strip out the ar, the ending, and you add as. For él or ella, llama. Okay? For nosotros, llamamos. Vosotros os llamáis. You see, you strip off from the verb just the ending, ar, and you add ais. And ustedes, ellos, as an. Okay? So this is the typical way of, this is the way you conjugate in the present tense all regular verbs ending in ar. Now let's see this other example, another verb ending in ar, the verb hablar, that is to speak. Hablar. So we have yo hablo, tú hablas, él habla, or ella habla. Nosotros hablamos. Vosotros habláis. Ustedes hablan. And ellos hablan. Okay? So, this is the same conjugation, the same rule applies as with llamar. So, you can see, if we strip off from the verb hablar, we strip off the ending ar, and we just keep the root habl, okay? So for the first person, we just add the o, you see, habl, o. Tú hablas, Él or ella habla. Same as here. Nosotros hablamos. Vosotros habláis. Ustedes hablan. Ellos hablan. Okay? It's the same as up here in the verb llamar or llamarse. So these are two typical cases of regular verbs ending in ar. So all other verbs will follow the same rule, right? If they finish in ar, and if they are regular, as most verbs are, okay? Here we have some more examples for verbs ending in ar. Well, llamar and hablar, which we have seen. Cantar is to sing. Cantar. The rule for conjugating is the same we've seen here. Cocinar. Cocinar is to cook. Cocinar. So if we want to conjugate the verb to cook, cocinar, we already know how to conjugate it in the present tense for the different persons, okay? Now, as examples for verbs ending in er and verbs ending in ir, we have for er, beber, which means to drink, comer, to eat, correr, to run, romper, to break. With verbs ending in ir, vestir, to dress, corregir, to correct, agredir, that's to attack somebody, right? We also have the verb atacar, but agredir, I can find the exact word, but it's a synonym for to attack somebody, right? To use violence against somebody. Destruir, to destroy. All those are verbs ending in ir. However, the rule is slightly different for verbs ending in er and ir than the one we've seen for verbs ending in ar. So we will see that later on in another lesson. So this is enough for today, and I hope you've learned how to conjugate at least 1/3 of the verbs in Spanish. And just send me a comment or a question if you have any doubts, and I'll see you next class. Goodbye. Hola, esta es nuestra 9ª lección de español. Hi, this is our 9th Spanish lesson. Here I want to show you how to conjugate and how to use two of the most important verbs. We've seen in a previous lesson that we've seen how to conjugate and use two other verbs, the verbs that correspond to the English verb to be, ser and estar. Now we will learn the two verbs that correspond to the English verb to have, right? In Spanish, we have two verbs that correspond or translate to the different functions that the verb to have has. In Spanish, we have haber and tener. So, in English, when we refer to verb to have as an auxiliary verb, right, as when we say, I have eaten, I have gone, right? The verb to have there is an auxiliary verb, yes? In Spanish, the auxiliary verb for those same cases is verb haber, okay? Also, we use haber when we refer to there is something, there will be something. Okay, that's a different function, a special function of the verb haber that we will learn later. And now verb tener. In English, when we say that we have something, right? I have a pen. I have a blue shirt. There, that corresponds to the verb tener in Spanish, right? Also, when we say in English, we have to do something. I have to go out. We use tener. So we would say, tengo que salir. I need to go out. When we want to say, I have to work. Tengo que trabajar. That's verb tener. Okay? So you can see that verb to have translates in verbs haber and verb tener. Okay? Both these verbs are irregular. So they have a particular conjugation that we'll see now. And as you can see, verb haber is more irregular than tener. So let's see again. For first person, yo. Yo he. Tú has. Él ha. Or ella ha. She has. Okay? Nosotros hemos. Vosotros habéis. Ustedes han. Ellos han. I repeat again. Ustedes and ellos conjugate exactly the same. But actually, ustedes is a synonym of vosotros, right? This vosotros and ustedes means you plural, right? And ellos is they. So, yo he is I have. Tú has, you have. Él ha, he has. Ella ha, she has. Nosotros hemos. We have. Vosotros habéis. You have, plural. Ustedes han. Again, you have, plural. Ellos han. They have. So, this conjugation of verb haber with the pronouns, this by itself means nothing, because the verb haber conjugates just to be used as an auxiliary verb, right? So, for this to make sense, we have to add any other verb here, right? So if I want to say, I have eaten, I would say, yo he comido, tú has comido, él ha comido, ellos han comido. That's eaten, you see? Comido doesn't change, as same as in English, eaten, the word doesn't change. He has eaten, I have eaten, we have eaten, right? So the verb haber has another function when we want to say there is or there have been, and it can conjugate in these ways. I, right? H-A-I. Hay. That means there is. For example, there is a car. Hay un auto. Un is the indeterminate article, right, for singular and masculine, because auto is masculine, yes? So, hay un auto would be there is a car. If we want to say in the past, hubo un auto. Hubo un auto. There was a car. Let me correct this. There was a car. In the future, habrá un auto. There will be a car. Habrá un auto. Or actually this in the plural would be habrán, but we still say habrá muchos autos, or you can say habrán muchos autos, but you really don't need to put the verb haber in plural. You can say still habrá muchos autos. There will be many cars. Okay, so this is the functions of the verb haber, right, in Spanish, as an auxiliary verb, and this is how we conjugate it for the present tense, and as there will be, right, that we can see here. Hay for the present, hubo for there was, habrá for there will be. The other verb we will see today is the verb tener. Tener. So, tener, to have something or to have to do something. Let's begin with the first person, right? Yo tengo. I have. Tú tienes. You have. Él tiene. He has. Or ella tiene. She has. Nosotros tenemos. We have. Vosotros tenéis. You have, plural. Ustedes tienen. That's also you, plural. Ellos. So, we still have ellos tienen. They have. Okay? But here, this is not have as in the auxiliary function, like here, right? This is yo tengo something, right? Algo. Algo means something. You can say, for example, here in green I have written some examples of verb tener. Let's see. Yo tengo hambre. I feel hungry, or I am hungry. In Spanish, when you say I'm hungry or I feel hungry, you say I have hunger. Tengo hambre. Here you can say yo tengo miedo. Miedo. Miedo means fear or afraid. In Spanish, when you want to say I'm scared, you say I have fear. Tengo miedo, or yo tengo miedo. We can also use, you see, these are states, right? State of or feelings of hunger or of fear. However, if you want to say I have something, then you use an article, like here, una. Yo tengo una casa. Casa is house. This means I have a house. Una is the indeterminate article in singular for feminine, right? Because casa is feminine. You can see typical feminine ending, ends in a. Okay, casa, la casa, feminine. Yo tengo una casa. I have a house. As we've seen before, since the verb already has a conjugation that implies the first person of the singular, yo, then we can omit the word yo, right? That's why I have written it in between brackets. And actually, in Spanish, we usually omit it here. Although it's correct to say yo tengo hambre, yo tengo miedo, yo tengo una casa. However, the most usual way of saying it is just tengo hambre, tengo miedo, tengo una casa. Okay? Verb tener has another function we've seen here. When you say tener when we want to use a verb to have as to have to do something, then we use verb tener with the word que. So let's see again. Here, since tengo is conjugated, we can omit yo or any of these persons, right? So you can say yo tengo que ir, or just tengo que ir. Tengo que ir means I have to go. Or you can say I have to go to school. Tengo que ir a la escuela. Yes? Yo tengo que comer. I have to eat. Comer is to eat. Tengo que trabajar. I have to work. You see that when we say I have to do something, we say tengo que, right? Tengo would be verb to have, and que would be to. I have to work. Tengo que trabajar. Okay? Tengo que trabajar. Tengo que comer. Tengo que ir. So, these are some of the most important verbs in Spanish. We have seen already ser, estar, and now we've seen haber and tener. Okay? So, next time we see verbs, I will show you how to conjugate regular verbs. Okay? So now we'll take a break of irregular verbs for a while. And well, we still have to see questions and well, many other things. So I don't know, perhaps we won't see verbs in the next lesson, right? But perhaps the following one or the other one. So this is all for today's lesson, and just have a nice day, and leave me a comment if you have any questions. Goodbye. Hi, welcome to the 10th lesson in our free Spanish course, SpanishFreeLessonsOnline.com. In this lesson, we will review the Spanish question words, okay? It's same as how, why, when, all those question words in English. In Spanish, we have some very definite question words, and this is what we will see today. So, I have underlined with green the question words, and to the right hand side we can see the translation in English, and the question word is also underlined in English in green, okay? So let's start with the first one. ¿Qué quieres? Try to repeat the words and the sentences I say aloud, so you can practice reproducing the Spanish sounds. And if you have to, just I recommend you stop the video, you pause it, so you can practice each sentence, each word, okay? So the first word, ¿qué?, literally means what. ¿Qué quieres? Means what do you want. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Qué quieres? ¿Quién eres? That's who are you. ¿Quién is who. ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo? Sorry. Yeah. ¿Cómo literally means how. However, in this specific case, this sentence, ¿Cómo te llamas?, translates in English as what's your name, right? But literally it would be how are you called. That's the literal translation of this sentence. ¿Cómo is how. We can say ¿Cómo lo has hecho? How have you made it, or how have you done it? Okay? ¿Cómo? That's our third question word. ¿Cuánto tienes? ¿Cuánto means how much. And here we can differentiate between how much and how many. In Spanish we have the same differentiation between how much and how many. ¿Cuánto, without the S, so ending in an O, means how much. ¿Cuántos means how many. In this case, the S does not have anything to do with plural or singular. The S here means that this means how many, and cuánto without an S is how much. So, ¿cuánto tienes? Is how much do you have? ¿Cuántos tienes? How many do you have? ¿Por qué te vas? Why are you leaving? Literally, this would translate, why yourself leave, or why yourself go, right? Means, why are you leaving? So, ¿por qué two words means why. ¿Dónde está? Where is it? Now look, we add an A to the word, right? ¿A dónde vas? Where are you going to? So look at this. ¿Dónde means where. ¿A dónde? All together, one word. ¿A dónde means where to. ¿A dónde vas? Where are you going to? ¿Quiénes son ellos? Who are they? ¿Quiénes is who, plural. You see here, our second sentence is ¿Quién eres? Who are you? That's a singular question. Who are you? ¿Quién is singular. ¿Quiénes is plural for who. So, ¿quién eres? Is who are you. ¿Quiénes son ellos? Is who are they. Also, you can see that the verb has changed, right? This is the present tense conjugation of verb to be for the second person in the singular, and this is the same verb to be in present tense, but for the third person of the plural, they. Our next question is ¿Con quién vas? Who are you going with? So, ¿con quién means who with, or with who. ¿Con quién vas? Literally would translate as with whom go. You can also say ¿con quiénes vas? And that would imply a plural. That's quiénes is plural. Would be whom are you going with, but in plural, right? And con quién implies that you're going with only one person, okay? Who are you going with? Just one. ¿Cuándo vuelves? When do you return? So, ¿cuándo means when. ¿Cuándo vuelves? Literally translates as when you return, because although here we don't have the word you, it's already implied because the verb return, volver, is conjugated for the second person of the singular, you. So just the word vuelves, that is a conjugated verb, already implies you, or tú in Spanish. ¿Cuándo vuelves? When do you return? And the last one we'll see now is ¿Para qué es esto? Here, ¿para qué es esto? ¿Para qué es esto? Means what is this for? So para qué means what for. Esto means this. Es is conjugation in the present tense for the verb. So, para qué means what. Esto means this. Sorry, para qué means what for. Es is is. Esto is this. So, again, para is for, qué is what, es is, esto, this. But para qué is what for. Para qué es esto, what is this for. So, with this I want to teach you the question words, and that's for the sentence structures. I know you won't learn that from this lesson, but at least this adds up to your vocabulary, and I hope that you'll be able to memorize some of these question words, and if not, at least next time when we see them, you will remember them. Okay? So this is the end for today's 10th lesson, and I'll see you next time. Have a nice day. Hi there. Welcome back. We are today in our 11th lesson of Spanish. So we are in SpanishFreeLessonsOnline.com, and this lesson we will finally learn how to count in Spanish. I was wondering why I didn't teach that before, but I guess because you really don't need this to speak, but it's still one of the basic things in any language, so I think it was time for me to teach you the numbers and how to say the numbers in Spanish. So let's begin with the very beginning with 0, okay? Let's see. Let's review first some spelling in Spanish, okay? This is C, E, R, O, U, N, O, D, O, S, T, R, E, S, C, U, A, T, R, O, C, I, N, C, O, S, E, I, S. Take a look at this. This is letra E. This is letra I. Okay? In Spanish, each vowel has one single sound. It's not like English that letter I can be pronounced I or E, right? Or like is. So it changes the tone a little bit. In Spanish, letra E sounds always E. Letra I sounds always I. Letra A, letra O, letra U, they always have the same sound. This one is E. This one is I. Okay? Let's start counting. Please repeat with me aloud so you start your mouth starts getting used to to pronouncing the Spanish sounds and Spanish words. Cero, cero. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, right? 27, 28, 29, and 30 is 30. T, R, E, I, N, T, A. 30. Now, 31, 32 would be 31. E is and, would be 30 and 1, 30 and 2, 30 and 3, 31, 32, 33, 37, 8, 9. 40, 50 would be 41, 42, 43, right? Would be 40 and 1, 40 and 2. 50 is 50. 60 is 60. 70, 70. 80, 80. 90, 90. 100 is 100. Very short word, just one syllable. 100. C-I-E-N. 100. 1000 is still shorter, also one syllable. 1000. You see? M-I-L. 1000. 1000, 1000. 2000, 2000. 3000, 3000. 10,000 is 10,000, right? 10,000. 100,000, 100,000. 1 million is 1 millón. 1 millón. Later, 2 millones. But with this rule, with these basic numbers, you can already learn how to count. You just take a look at this, study it, and you should be able to form all the numbers you need. You can see that from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 10. Later, it changes to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The same as in English. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. However, the teens would be, in Spanish, they would start as from 16, you see? 16, 17, 18, 19 would be, 10 would be like 10 y, right? 10 and 6, 10 and 7, 10 and 8, 10 and 9. Later, 20, 20, 21, 22, 23. It's like saying 21, but you just strip away the letter E. 21, 22. And here, okay, you already know 30, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 100, 1000, 1000, 10,000, 10,000, 1,000,000. That's 1 million. So, well, this is enough for our counting lesson. And next lesson, I will teach you how to use. So I was telling you, this is the end of today's lesson, and next lesson I will teach you how to use some numbers in real life situations for counting, or for asking how much is this, or this costs so much, and cases like that. Okay, so I hope I see you next time. If you have any questions, you can post a comment in my website, or go to contact and send an email over there, or also you can subscribe to the website and get the latest posts in your email. Okay, I see you soon. Take care. Hi, hello everybody. We are here, I think it's the 12th lesson of Spanish. We are at www.SpanishFreeLessonsOnline.com. In this lesson, we will practice how to go and ask for prices if we are going to buy something at a shop. So we will start by learning the first most basic words, the buyer and the seller. Okay? Here, this is the buyer, this is the seller, or buyer and salesperson. Comprador. Let's spell this in Spanish. C-O-M-P-R-A-D-O-R. That's comprador. Comprador. Now the seller. V-E-N-D-E-D-O-R. Vendedor. Vendedor. So, imagine you're going into a bookshop and you want to ask for the price of a book. So let's start like this. Hola, ¿cuánto cuesta este libro? Hola, ¿cuánto cuesta este libro? Hola, ¿cuánto cuesta este libro? Hello, how much costs this book? Cuesta 200 pesos. Pesos is the currency that is used in most of the Latin American countries. The peso. Of course, it's not as valuable as the dollar, so 200 pesos is probably a reasonable price for a cheap book in many countries. Let me write down the word 200, 200, if you forgot how to write it. 200. 200. That means 200. Sorry. Next question. Buen día. ¿Cuánto vale esta mesa? Mesa means table. Mesa. So, buen día. ¿Cuánto vale esta mesa? Try to pronounce the same as I pronounce every sound. Buen día. This means good morning. ¿Cuánto vale esta mesa? How much costs this table? Vale 2,000 pesos. 2,000 means literally 2,000. So you can see that to ask how much something costs, you can ask ¿cuánto cuesta? Or ¿cuánto vale? Both ways are correct and both ways are as used. ¿Cuánto cuesta would literally mean how much costs, and this one would be how much is valued or how much it's worth. Okay? Buenas tardes. ¿Cuánto cuesta un café? Buenas tardes. ¿Cuánto cuesta un café? This is good afternoon. How much costs a coffee? Now the answer, imagine the shopkeeper at the cafeteria wants to tell you the espresso costs 20 and the café americano costs 25. So, el expreso cuesta 20 y el café americano 25. Right? If you can also say, instead of putting a comma, you can say y el café americano cuesta 25. But you can just omit cuesta and just write down the number, okay? Same as in English. In case you forgot how to spell 20 and 25, here you can see it. 20, 25. Look at this. ¿Cuánto cuesta un café? Un means a coffee. If you want to say the coffee, it would be el café. El means, el is the masculine singular article, right? But now we are using an indeterminate article, un, masculine, singular, right? Un. Next question. Buenos días. ¿A cuánto está el kilo de manzanas? This question is, how much does the kilo of apples cost? Look at this first. Buenos días. Instead of saying buen día for good morning, we are saying buenos días. It is the same thing, but here you're saying buen día in singular, here you're saying buenos días in plural. Why? I don't know, but both ways are as much used. Buen día and buenos días. Some people say buen día, some other people say buenos días, and most people use both, and unconsciously they sometimes use one or the other. So just be aware of that. You can say it in both ways. I don't know why, but people also say plural, buenos días, like good mornings or good days. ¿A cuánto está el kilo de manzanas? Literally, translating word by word, this would be, at what price is the kilo of apples? This way of asking for a price is very typical from when you go to a store and ask for the price of something that is changing very often, right? Like, for example, foods or vegetables or fruits, right? So this is a very typical way of asking when you go to the store or to the grocery. ¿A cuánto está el kilo de manzanas? So you have ¿cuánto cuesta? Or ¿cuánto vale? And for, so we were saying we have these three ways of asking for a price. ¿Cuánto cuesta? Or ¿cuánto vale? That's the most typical form. And for something, for when we go to the grocery and ask for the price of something that's which price is changing more often, we usually ask ¿a cuánto está? Okay? You can still ask ¿cuánto cuesta? Or ¿cuánto vale? But usually we ask ¿a cuánto está el kilo de manzanas? If we want to ask for the price of fruits, vegetables, or something that's changing frequently. Look at the spelling of the word manzanas, or apples. Let's spell it in Spanish. M-A-N-Z-A-N-A-S. Buenos días. ¿A cuánto está el kilo de manzanas? Está a 30 pesos el kilo. Pesos, you can omit it. It makes no difference. You can say está a 30 el kilo. Or you can even say está a 30. Right? To reply that, to answer that it costs 30 or 30 pesos. Look at this. Kilo is a typical, same as in English, right? The typical short form for kilogram. In Spanish, 2. instead of saying kilogramo, you can just say kilo, right? So English and Spanish are the same in this case. Now, last question. Look at this one. Discúlpeme, este pantalón tiene una falla. ¿Acepta devolución? Imagine you bought a pair of trousers, right? Pair of trousers is pantalón. Pantalón is trousers. Imagine the trousers has a failure. A failure is una falla. And you want to ask the salesperson if they accept to return the goods, right? Devolución, to return. First we ask, excuse me, discúlpeme. Discúlpeme is already conjugated in the formal tense, right? Do you remember that for the second person of the singular, that's you, right? In Spanish you have the formal and the informal. The informal is tú and the formal is usted. Both forms conjugate differently. So if we were using the informal, the tú, we would say discúlpame with an a, discúlpame. But we are using the formal because we are talking to a salesperson, somebody that's not related to us. So we say, discúlpeme, excuse me, este pantalón tiene una falla. ¿Acepta devolución? Excuse me, these trousers, or this trouser, because in Spanish it's singular word, has a failure. Do you accept the devolution or returning of the goods? Here we are omitting the pronoun because the verb accept in Spanish is already conjugated for the second person in the singular in the formal way, right? Acepta. I read acepta or I listen acepta and I know that the subject is usted. So I can omit usted. I can just say acepta devolución. In English you would need to use to add the word you, right? Not in Spanish. You don't have to. Now the salesperson will reply, yes, of course, I need to see the invoice. Sí, por supuesto. Necesito ver la factura. Sí, por supuesto. Necesito ver la factura. Sí, por supuesto. Necesito ver la factura. This is yes, of course. I need to see or look at the invoice. Again, necesito is conjugated into the first person of the singular, I, yo. So necesito already is implying the subject. So I don't need to say yo necesito ver la factura. I can just say simply necesito ver la factura. So this is enough for today's lesson, and we'll see probably some more examples next lesson in our next video, and I will also soon want to teach you the difference between este, esta, estos, estas, aquel, aquellos, right? So this, these, that, those, okay? So probably in the next or the following lesson I will be teaching you that. So just come back to my website, and I hope to see you soon in our next lesson. Goodbye.